Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. Taking a quick look at the markets as we start a new week. A couple of levels to watch on Bitcoin, as well as a few things to keep note of here in the next few days heading into the new week. We'll take a look at the prices. Some charts that are breaking out some of the altcoin rallies continue, but it's certainly a mixed bag, and over the weekend we saw some potential attempts to put in a low on Bitcoin. So we'll look at that and a few other things. So let's get to it. Looking at the chart here on Bitcoin, this is the 4-hour chart of BTC on Coinbase. Now I want to make note of a couple of things because we are starting to see some price disparity again between the Coinbase Bitstamp exchange versus the USDT exchanges because of Tether and potentially some more Tether FUD on the horizon. And so I want to point that out as we look at these charts. But looking at the Coinbase chart here first, during the weekend we saw this sell-in pressure continue. In my last update, I was talking about a potential bounce happening here, and it bounced, almost exactly to the resistance level we were looking at, and then it proceeded to sell off again, forming a nice little double bottom here. And so that was the play yesterday. I was watching this double bottom start taking place. There was some bullish divergence showing up as this second low happened. Now it's important to note that we're still below the moving averages. Moving averages are still heading lower, and so you got to make note of that. But this double bottom was in play and still is in play. But now here in the most recent couple of candles here, we're starting to see a little bit of rollover action. So there has continued to be this resistance zone that it just can't get above, and that's above these EMAs as well as some horizontal price resistance. So getting above that's going to be key. On Coinbase, that's around 63.80. On Binance, that translates it to around 64.90. We'll take a look at that chart shortly. But if prices continue lower, then what I want to look out for here is a potential inverse head and shoulder to form on this 4-hour chart. Now that needs to make a higher low for that to be valid because we're still below these moving averages. So the price is still under some pressure here. But if we make a higher low, that's going to set up a very nice support structure from which prices could begin to rally. Ultimately, it needs to get above this horizontal price point to confirm that. So that's what I'm going to be looking for, is a higher low being set. It needs to hold above yesterday's low price. If it breaks below that, that invalidates this potential pattern and would likely accelerate the selling pressure on the downside, as that would really start to undo a lot of the potential bottoming process we're seeing here over the last couple of days. And so that's what I'm watching here on the price points here for BTC. If we look at it from the Binance exchange perspective, you can see that the price hasn't quite pulled in as much here over the last couple of hours, and that is because we're starting to see a little bit of Tether FUD again. So you're seeing this double bottom is still in play on the Binance chart. You can see the price point has found some resistance above this level here, so that's what we want to see break out. We had bounced, was looking very strong, and so from this perspective I began to scale in here at the lows yesterday, taking some action here, as well as some of the altcoins that are breaking higher. We'll take a look at some of those, but this is interesting to see the price disparity starting to show up again on these two exchanges. If you look at the Tether chart here, this is the 4-hour chart of Tether versus USD, and you can see that there is this slight drift starting to take place here. So keep an eye on that. This is going to be interesting to see how this plays out this week. Could cause a little bit of fear starting to come back into the market because Tether is just so prevalent on so many exchanges. But we are also seeing some of the other stable coins counterbalance this slight decline that we're seeing in Tether here. If we go take a look at True USD or PAX, for example, here's the True USD chart versus Tether. Not a huge drive higher, but you're starting to see this slight move higher as Tether pulls in a little bit. And PAX as well pushing higher here. Now this is smaller cap, smaller volume names, so they tend to be a little bit more spiky. The wicks are a little bit bigger, but just the overall picture, just something to note that you are starting to see that price disparity again because of some fluctuation in the Tether USD dollar peg there. But taking a look at some of the other names here versus BTC here, this is ETH BTC on Binance. We had that big push higher, and I remember I mentioned last week at the end of my weekly wrap up that this was simply just a pullback to support, and so far that's holding up. You can see these moving averages right here. Prices are just pulling right back into that. This is where we want to see prices start to find some support and then moving higher. This would bode well for the overall altcoin market. So Ethereum continues to hold up pretty well versus BTC here. Just some slight consolidation. We saw some other breakouts here today. Ripple versus BTC starting to push higher here. If we zoom in and look at the shorter term time frame, this is what I was watching. I had a live stream with my group last night before we got the new week kicked off, and I was pointing this one out as a potential breakout candidate. And we saw that here early this morning, some very nice volume coming in and still pushing higher here. A little extended on the shorter term time frames. If you go to the 1 hour charts, you can see the RSI is still up there, but is pushing higher. The daily and the 4 hour chart certainly look good, especially on this daily chart. You can see this pullback that we saw over the last few days was really right back to the moving averages, very similar to the Ethereum picture. So Ripple, Ethereum versus BTC continue to outperform, and so you're seeing this large cap rotation out of BTC into some of these other names that have put in a pretty good low here over the last couple of weeks. And so just keep an eye on that. Still moving higher. Ripple still looks good here in the near term and had a little bit of a breakout today. Looking at the short covering though, this is the daily chart of shorts for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you can see here on this pullback, I mean, it just continues to cover the shorts here. ETH had a small bounce, it's starting to pull back again. So the shorts continue to cover. That has helped support prices a bit. Eventually the short covering will kind of run its course. So we'll be seeing, it'll be interesting to see how prices react after that. But you're seeing some covering, less bearishness coming in. Ultimately, this will bottom out and it'll give the shorts some time to start building back up again, which will put some overhead pressure on prices. But for now, you're seeing the shorts continue to cover as prices have looked less bearish here over the last couple of weeks. We saw that bounce over the last week and a half before the pullback here in the last few days. Just something to note here. It's very interesting to see these shorts cover even as prices have pulled back a bit. Another one to note here on the pullback is Bitcoin Cash. Now, no surprise here, we're seeing this big pullback after that run it had. It was showing some bearish divergence, and we're just seeing this pull right back into these EMAs. This is one to watch here. It's going to be pretty turbulent here, in my opinion, going into the next couple of days, especially as this fork looms, this November 15th date approaches. But you can see here, just very bearish, just continues to look ugly. We saw these bear flags one after another, and every bounce has just continued to be sold into. So certainly not bullish by any means here, still rolling over. The momentum is in favor of the bears, but on the bullish case, maybe we'll see a bounce right here because we are bouncing right off of this 22 EMA. That'll be the key level to hold. So essentially today's low on the daily candle, if it breaks below that, not good. We'll likely fully retrace this move, but this would be an ideal place to start to see a little bit of a bounce. November 15th is only a couple of days away, so you could just see a little bit of a counter trend rally and then the breakdown following the actual event. And that's generally what we see, if not the front running before. And you can see there was some profit taken leading well into that just because the prices had moved so much. And I mentioned that they were just very extended. And so not surprising to see this pullback. May likely see a little bounce here. Longer term, I'm not quite bullish on this one here. Just the chart doesn't look very strong, but this would be an ideal place to see a little bit of support coming in. So just wanted to bring that quick update today as we head into the new week. I appreciate you guys watching as always. And if you don't already, please check me out on Twitter. You can follow me at NodeInvestor, and you can also get more information at nodeinvestor.com. Looking forward to another exciting week as always. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care everyone.